Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping notes. First, this session will be recorded this evening, and afterward, we'll have it available to be shared with you and with those guests who were invited but weren't able to be with us tonight live. Your microphones should be muted, and we ask that you keep them off for the duration of the program, but we encourage you to turn on your cameras so that we can see one another. There's closed captioning available for tonight's program. You should be able to turn that on by clicking closed caption in the control bar, which usually is located at the bottom of your screen. As you think about questions for our speakers, please enter them into the chat box, which also should be located at the bottom of your screen. We'll be monitoring that throughout the evening, and we'll answer questions towards the end of the program. Now, if past is a precursor, unfortunately, we may not have time to get through all of the questions tonight. And if we're not able to get to your specific question, we'll be sure to follow up at a later date. So with that, let's get started. It's a terrific opportunity to have you with us tonight. The spring semester is well underway, and we've already seen some exciting engagement around philanthropy. For example, many of you know already that just last weekend, our student volunteers hosted a successful virtual thon and raised $10.6 million to help support pediatric cancer treatment and research. It was an extraordinary weekend, and we're incredibly proud of our student dancers, the executive committee, and all of our volunteers. We're excited to carry forward that positive energy tonight as we focus on our goals for the remainder of the year and for the rest of our current campaign. Tonight, you'll hear more about an effort that's helping us make progress toward our campaign imperative to impact the world by driving job creation, economic development, and student career success. I'm talking about the university's Invent Penn State program. And this evening, you'll learn more about the network of innovation hubs that we've created to foster an entrepreneurial mindset among our students, faculty, and community members. These innovation hubs harness expertise at the university to provide no-cost resources and services for innovators to launch new businesses across the Commonwealth. We've invited you here this evening because we think this will be of interest to you, and we're excited to share how your philanthropy can play a part in our efforts to revitalize our economy and impact the world. To convey the full depth and breadth of this network, we've got a terrific panel of speakers who will demonstrate the impact of innovation hubs on students, startups, and communities across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and beyond. So to get things started, it's my honor to introduce the 18th president of the Pennsylvania State University, President Eric J. Barron, and his wife, Molly Barron. Dr. Barron?
Well, it's great to see everybody here today. So good evening, welcome. Mark Twain, who was a brilliant writer, apparently had a side hustle in science and innovation, patenting 3 inventions of his own. He described the process of discovery as putting a lot of ideas into a sort of mental kaleidoscope. And he said, we give them a turn and they make new and curious combinations. Now, in many ways, that does seem like an apt description of creativity and perhaps the creative output that comes from Invent Penn State. Students from across our colleges and campuses have been at work turning that mental kaleidoscope, and it has produced incredible inventions like a purpose therapy box designed by Penn State Chenango students to tackle depression and loneliness that you find commonly in nursing homes. Then there's Loan Crunch, developed by students for students to simplify a student loan process. Invent Penn State teams have invented 3D printed custom fit footwear, bed bug insecticides, and Clot Knot, a therapeutic device designed to help prevent blood clots in patients who are recovering at home. And the list goes on, and frankly goes on and on. The ideas, ambition, energy, and inventions resulting from Invent Penn State are very exciting and incredibly important for the economic health of our state and our nation. So tonight, I'm delighted to be with you to talk about Invent Penn State, which is a critical piece of our Impact the World imperative. When we launched this initiative in 2015, we envisioned it as reimagining the historic land grant mission of service to society. It was a big idea. We started small. Our first launch boxes were perhaps folding chairs and not so great coffee, a passionate group of Penn Staters, local business leaders, government officials, and friends. It's that last part, that passionate group of folks from Penn State and the community that make a tremendous amount of difference. And they saw the potential for economic development and student career success, and they worked to realize that vision. Since those early days, Invent Penn State has rapidly grown and grown. Today, Penn State has 21 innovation hubs across Pennsylvania. 95.6% of all Pennsylvania residents live within a 30-mile radius of one of Penn State's innovation hotbeds. Each hub's unique, shaped by the distinctive needs of the campus and the surrounding community. Some are on or adjacent to the Penn State campus. Others are centrally located in town. All reflect a strong town-gown relationship, and they share a common mission to inspire and advance innovation and entrepreneurship, and to help transform great ideas into viable products and business opportunities. Invent Penn State has also successfully leveraged Penn State's size, technology, and broad research strengths. Notably, our research expenditures last year, for the very first time, exceeded $1 billion. $1.01 billion, $40 million up from the previous year. We're accelerating the transfer of new ideas into useful products and processes for industry sectors, including energy and food security, environmental protection, educational technologies, and manufacturing, healthcare, medical devices, and pharmaceuticals. All of this is translating into new businesses in Pennsylvania. And since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, our innovation hubs have quickly pivoted to offer virtual programs, creating even greater accessibility. In recognition of the critical role Invent Penn State plays in entrepreneurship around the Commonwealth, Penn State has made every innovation hub and LaunchBox eligible for a one-to-one university match of $1 million naming gift. An individual gift of $1 million combined with the one-to-one match creates a $2 million endowment that offers permanent, sustainable funding. So far, 3 campuses, 3 LaunchBoxes have received such gifts. Happy Valley LaunchBox, powered by PNC Bank, Altoona LaunchBox, supported by the Height family, and the Hazleton LaunchBox, supported by Pasco L. Chavo, Esquire. Another 17 hubs around Pennsylvania remain eligible for a naming gift opportunity. Philanthropy will continue to play a critical role as we expand and enrich our LaunchBox and Innovation Hub network. Since this initiative is so important to us, we've also created Economic Development Matching Program. This provides one-to-one match for gifts supporting other programs that promote economic development through new business and or job creation. This program can fund entrepreneurs in residence, pitch competition, other efforts that support entrepreneurial activities. No entity in Pennsylvania prepares our future workforce across the Commonwealth like Penn State. Just yesterday, I spent the day in Harrisburg giving testimony to the House Appropriations Committee on our budget. And no less than 3 different legislators from both sides of the aisle spent part of their questioning, or all of their questioning, about Penn State's innovation effort in Invent Penn State, which was something that really warmed my heart to think that they were posing the questions about how it was going and what we were doing, and so proud of what Penn State was trying to accomplish. We strive to inspire our students to bring new energy, leadership, and ideas to industry. Invent Penn State is a hallmark of this type of innovation and creativity. And in response to the global pandemic, Penn State has had to sacrifice innovation dollars for financial stability. It's crucial for the economic health of Pennsylvania and the nation that we get back to making these investments for the common good. Let's keep that mental kaleidoscope turning. Thank you for your interest in Invent Penn State, and I look forward to an engaging discussion this evening. So with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce this evening's speakers, who will give us an up-close look at Invent Penn State in action. First, we have James Delatre, who serves as Associate Vice President for Research and Director of the Office of Entrepreneurship and Commercialization at Penn State. James leads entrepreneurship program development for Invent Penn State initiative, as well as commercialization strategy and operational support for Penn State's Startup Pipeline and Innovation Hub program. Prior to joining the university, James worked in nanomaterials and semiconductor startups in central Pennsylvania and in Silicon Valley. He earned his PhD in chemistry from the University of California, Berkeley, and his bachelor's degree with honors in chemistry from Penn State. Next is Jackie Edmondson. Jackie is the Chancellor and Chief Academic Officer for Penn State Greater Allegheny in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, and a professor of curriculum and instruction in Penn State's College of Education. Prior to her appointment as Chancellor, Jackie served as Associate Vice President and Associate Dean in the Office of Undergraduate Education at Penn State. She has also had various positions in the College of Education's administration and faculty. Jackie is here tonight to talk about the success of her campus's LaunchBox and its impact on the local community. Finally, we have Joelle Sachi, a 2020 graduate of Penn State's College of Information Sciences and Technology. At Penn State, Joel was involved in the peer mentoring program Blueprint and served as the co-director of the Martin Luther King Day of Service in 2019. In his senior year, with the help of Invent Penn State resources, Joel set out to solve issues that impact underrepresented students in the Penn State community. He founded his startup company, Vibrant, to support underrepresented students. This social networking platform helps students find resources, opportunities, and communities while removing barriers throughout their college careers. Now I'll turn the discussion over to James. After our speakers, we'll have a Q&A session, and you'll also hear more about how you can get involved with Invent Penn State. Thank you.
Thank you, President Barron, for that kind introduction. And thank you, Rich, for inviting me to participate in this great event. Most of all, thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. It's wonderful to gather with so many Penn State alumni and friends who are interested in innovation and entrepreneurship at Penn State. Tonight, I'd like to share information about the tremendous impact that the Invent Penn State initiative is having across Pennsylvania and beyond. I want to especially focus on the impact of our 21 launch boxes and innovation hubs. I am also excited to provide you with a preview of our new flagship innovation hub that is under construction in downtown State College, a new facility that we believe will be transformational for Penn State and the Commonwealth. And while unfortunately we can't cover all of the Invent Penn State programs tonight, I'd encourage you to visit invent.psu.edu to learn more about the many programs, events, and resources available for inventors and entrepreneurs. As Invent Penn State has grown, we've focused on three key groups: our Penn State faculty researchers who have world-class research discoveries, but need a system and support to move their discoveries from the lab bench to the marketplace. Community and alumni entrepreneurs who have great inventions or business ideas, but could go farther faster with the support of Penn State expertise. And of course, we have our Penn State students who are brimming with remarkable ideas, but who need access to a range of resources to turn those ideas into a reality. And when I can, I like to point out just how different today's students are than even just a few years ago. For today's freshmen, Roomba robotic vacuum cleaners have always existed. Our freshmen were 3 years old when the iPhone was launched and 6 years old when the show Shark Tank debuted. They're digital natives and they see innovation and e-commerce and entrepreneurship not just as accessible, but as an integral part to everyday life. So out of our desire to better serve these groups sprang the vision for the LaunchBox network, a collection of 21 business resource hubs located in our Commonwealth campus communities. And as President Barron said, each LaunchBox is tailor-made and unique because no two Pennsylvania communities are exactly the same. So what might you find in your typical friendly neighborhood LaunchBox? So our typical programs are accelerator programs that help entrepreneurs de-risk their business ideas, makerspaces that permit prototyping, mentorship programs, pitch competitions, and no-cost legal advice through the Penn State Law Entrepreneur Assistance Clinic and Penn State Law IP Clinic, which is incredibly valuable and again is available to startups all over the Commonwealth. In the 5 years since our first LaunchBox opened, the impact has exceeded all expectations. The law clinics, as an example, have now provided over 1,500 startups with no-cost legal advice. Over 10,000 students and faculty have engaged in some type of an entrepreneurial activity. Over 300 startups have graduated from our entrepreneurship boot camps, creating nearly 200 jobs, and almost $14 million in external matching funds from corporations, foundations, government, and Penn State alumni and friends have been leveraged to sustain and expand these services. The LaunchBoxes are proving to be essential feeders into our university-wide programs like the Summer Founders Program. The Summer Founders is made possible through generous gifts from Penn State alumni and friends and provides $15,000 and mentorship to 6 student entrepreneurs per year so they can focus full-time on their startups over the summer. One of our first Summer Founder graduates, Hunter Swisher, in the bottom right-hand corner here, he started a company based on a soil amendment technology that was developed in the College of Ag Sciences that prevents pollution from phosphorus runoff. Hunter has taken advantage of every resource in the Penn State community to advance his business, and last month closed a $10.5 million venture capital investment round. Those funds will allow him to hire a superstar team in State College and distribute the technology internationally. It's a perfect example of what Invent Penn State was built to foster: a talented Penn State student building a business, making a positive impact on Pennsylvania's economy, all while solving a global ecological problem with Penn State intellectual property. In a few minutes, you'll also hear from a recent Summer founder, Joelle, who also has big plans to create positive change in our world. Now, we're at a point where strategic investment in innovation and entrepreneurship can make this new dimension of our land-grant mission an enduring one. With that in mind, we're thrilled to announce Invent Penn State's newest innovation hub, which is yet to be named. This multi-use innovation making and learning facility located on South Burroughs in downtown State College will serve students, innovators, and community entrepreneurs, and will act as the cornerstone of the Penn State entrepreneurial ecosystem, developing and deploying programs and events across the Commonwealth. The new facility will house an all-new makerspace that will provide innovators and entrepreneurs with access to cutting-edge machinery for prototyping and new product development, mentorship, and hands-on training. This 21st century machine shop will be a new home for inventive minds and rolled-up sleeves. And for digital trailblazers, we have a digital makerspace that provides access to digital manufacturing tools, virtual reality platforms, mobile app design tools, and 3D printers. The Happy Valley LaunchBox, powered by PNC Bank, will move to the new facility and continue to offer co-working space, accelerator programs, expert speakers, and will be the site to host the Summer Founders program into the future. There's a beautiful new meeting and event space that will inspire collaboration and the exchange of ideas between innovators from all fields. The space will, of course, host many entrepreneurship events and programs that I haven't had time to mention tonight, like Penn State Startup Week, for example. In addition, the new facility has co-working and meeting space for student clubs, including the COM Agency, a student organization from the Belisario College of Communication that'll provide graphic design and marketing support for startups. There's a technology-enhanced classroom built especially to host classes from the Entrepreneurship and Innovation minor and the SMEAL Corporate Innovation and Entrepreneurship major. And fortuitously, we'll be sharing the building with the Colleges of Earth and Mineral Sciences and Information Sciences and Technology, including graduate students from IST. It will no doubt be a hotbed of interdisciplinary innovation. So with this new hub as Penn State's intersection point for engineers and artists, software designers and scientists, and inventors from inside and outside of Penn State, we know that the positive impact of Penn State innovation is only just beginning. Thank you all for your time and attention. And I am pleased to turn the floor over to Jackie Edmondson, Chancellor of Penn State Greater Allegheny.
Thank you so much, James. Good evening, everyone. As James said, my name is Jacqueline Edmondson, and I serve as Chancellor and Chief Academic Officer at Penn State Greater Allegheny in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. The mission of our campus is to inspire students to be greater by offering transformative educational experiences. We are a catalyst for individual and social change, committed to improving the community and the world around us. One place where this mission is enacted is at the Mon Valley LaunchBox, located on 9th Street in the city of McKeesport. McKeesport is located in the Monongahela River Valley, approximately 12 miles south of Pittsburgh. It is a former steel town and was once a vibrant hub for small business owners. The National Tube Works employed up to 10,000 people at its peak. The Five and Dime store, G.C. Murphy, was started in McKeesport in 1906. There may be Penn Staters out there like me who remember when there was a G.C. Murphy variety store on Allen Street in State College. And so now you too have a connection to McKeesport. McKeesport was a destination for people who wanted to enjoy the shops and restaurants. And as you drive through the city today, you see some of the names of these former businesses on abandoned storefronts. The mayor and city council are working hard on an initiative called McKeesport Rising, an effort focused on neighborhood improvements and economic development. We are proud to be part of this effort through our LaunchBox and other collaborations with our campus. Our LaunchBox is led by Mr. Eric Ewell, the Greater Allegheny Continuing Education Director, and it is informed by the campus street team. The street team is comprised of faculty and staff who are connected to and care deeply about the communities in the Mon Valley. They are boots on the ground, if you will, and they provide insight to the community's needs that inform our work together. I meet regularly with Eric to discuss the LaunchBox, and I join the street team for meetings, community outreach, and other special events. The space for our LaunchBox is provided to us by the city of McKeesport. Mayor Michael Sherpko, a proud Penn State alumnus, is a wonderful partner to our campus, and he is interested in seeing the LaunchBox help to spur new businesses and attract entrepreneurs to the city. One thing that distinguishes our LaunchBox is the relationship Eric and the street team have developed with the community. They have worked hard to build a sense of hope and trust with community members, and they have a very responsive practice and process as they work to connect local residents to resources at Penn State. These help to build a collective impact through the connections they form. The Mon Valley LaunchBox provides a range of services that are directly connected to McKeesport Rising. First, there are services for individuals that range from co-working space to a one-to-one business coaching program. In addition, prior to COVID-19, the LaunchBox regularly hosted events called A Taste of Jazz to feature local business owners who were caterers, party planners, musicians, and others. Eric also works closely with local industry to help facilitate job placement in our region. And finally, Eric recently created a podcast called LaunchCast to continue to showcase local business owners, share their inspiring stories, and provide tips related to small business ownership to, as Eric says, help businesses go from good to great. The LaunchBox has had an impact on students, staff, faculty, and the community. One program I thought was particularly powerful was one we offered to high school students in partnership with a nonprofit called Youth Places in the summer of 2019. 12 high school students started their own business collecting scrap metal in McKeesport. Our staff taught them about different kinds of metal, as well as financial literacy, business planning, and marketing. The students sold the scrap metal to a local industry called TMS International, and TMS matched their earnings with scholarship dollars. Another great story is Vicky's Soul Food. Miss Vicky came to the LaunchBox with plans for a catering business. She was able to get the business started in the community kitchen in the building where our LaunchBox is located. She offered takeout, and she used Uber Eats and DoorDash as delivery services. Our staff worked closely with her as she expanded her efforts, and her business is now located in the Monroeville Mall. If you have a chance to stop by, be sure to try her food. It's really delicious. Our LaunchBox is one of 21 innovation hubs across the state, and I encourage you to learn more about the LaunchBoxes in the communities near you. Each one is unique and doing impactful work. Our Mon Valley LaunchBox primarily serves small business owners and entrepreneurs from underrepresented groups. My hope is Penn State's matching program will help investors recognize that they too can be a catalyst for individual and social change in our communities. With the funds we raise, we will invest in people and in helping them to rise up for themselves, their families, and their communities. Thank you so much. Now I'll turn it over to Joelle.
Thank you, Dr. Edmondson. It says that I'm not able to share my screen.
Hold on, Joelle, I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Try now.
All right, thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Asachi. I'm from Northern Virginia, but my family originally came here from Ghana. And I graduated from the College of IST at the end of summer 2020. And I'm the founder and CEO of Vibrant, a startup dedicated to creating a social networking app that focuses on helping underrepresented students find community and give them a better access to the resources and opportunities that the university has to offer. So during my time at Penn State, I had the pleasure of being a part of many initiatives that strive to make an impact in the lives of underrepresented students. The most valuable of those initiatives was Blueprint, a peer mentoring program that focused on offering cultural, social, and academic support to incoming first-year and transit campus students. This program gave me the framework that I needed to grow by directly connecting me with peers and resources that enriched my college experience and helped me overcome my feeling of being an outsider at my own university. The people that I met through the program gave me the confidence that I needed to overcome any challenge that prevented me from reaching my full potential. Blueprint's network pointed me towards resources like Event Penn State that elevated me to become the leader who I am today. And that focus that directly addressed those unique challenges couldn't have been available to everyone who needs it. Their services are immense, but not scalable. So I created Vibrant so that students like me can find their entry point to building their network at the university. So Vibrant is all about aiding students in finding their vibe. They're safe spaces within a university that will foster connections and enable them to start bridging the gap between them and the greater community, by also giving student organizations the opportunity to manage and promote their content. Our mobile app will also give minority students the opportunity to network with one another, find clubs, organizations, and events that fit their needs and interests, and also will have the benefit of finding all types of resources to ease their college experience and help them find postgraduate success. Now, I got a lot of motivation to push forward with Vibrant because I knew firsthand of how it felt to be a student here first starting off. To not feel like you're really welcomed at a community that had just welcomed you at your first year commencement. For me, being part of the 2.5% of African American students out of 40,000 meant that there are really, really many places where I can fully be myself. At a predominantly white institution, students of color and other underrepresented groups are more likely to feel increased loneliness and general unease that comes with adapting to a new environment. So to this day, we cannot let our guard down to potential microaggressions, homophobia, or even direct racial attacks that threaten not only our mental health, but who we are. There's a lot of value in connecting with like-minded individuals who share similar backgrounds as us. But these students, it can be a lot harder to come by. Many students can go months, semesters, or years before they feel comfortable and connected to the community. But at Penn State, the resources and the community are there. There's a clear need for students to connect outside of classes, and there are plenty of resources and groups out there that want to serve those needs. I knew that if I could build the roads that facilitate more discussion and networking, then these students will have a better chance at overcoming those barriers. They will be more aware of the connections that they can foster and be more inclined to utilize that network. And this venture also gave me the opportunity to grow as a software developer and as a business leader. It's been really exciting for me to directly apply the concept that I learned in my IST classes to solving a real world problem that hits very close to home for me. But where would I be about my Event Penn State and LaunchBox family? After getting some coding experience under my belt, Carlos Wiley, the publishing coach, directed me to Happy Valley LaunchBox to fully flesh out my idea. There I met Lee Erickson and Ben Nation at LaunchBox, and it became my first real step at building my idea into a business during fall 2019. I became a participant in the Idea Test Lab, which is a 4-week program designed to help potential entrepreneurs figure out if they have a problem worth solving. This was actually my first experience in entrepreneurship and business, and I'll be forever be grateful for that. Then, starting in May 2020, I had the pleasure of being a part of the Summer Founders Program. Both of these programs, I was part of the Summer Founders Program, was granted my business $15,000 to grow it over the summer. Both of these programs allowed me to make a better connection with my customers and make sure that I was servicing their needs. I learned how to make sure that my business was feasible, desirable, and viable. And it also gave me the confidence I needed to pursue my business goals. I also gained access to a vast alumni network that helped me make important pivots throughout the summer, providing me with support for my software development struggles, and also helped me with my strategic planning skills. The guidance that they provided throughout the summer was immense, and we had countless of refreshment sessions that really helped me think through what I needed to do to prioritize my business success. And we also were able to get feedback from the other founders in the program as well. Now, all in all, the main thing that I took from my experience with Event Penn State and LaunchBox was that the main thing you need to push forward in your business are peers, passion, and patience. Now, still to this day, LaunchBox has still been supporting me. I got connected with Ted Grave from the Engineering Entrepreneurship Program to help me fund an intern for my company. I also got a lot of help from Jason Huber, who helped me develop this hoodie and other t-shirts that we gave away for free last semester. They gave me advice for an advisory board that I want to develop for my company. And they also give me constant consulting and check-in advice, whatever I needed. No, so since I established my company a year ago, I was able to expand from a team of 1 to a team of 13 with like-minded individuals who believe in Fiverr's mission statement and want to make an effect in our community. We were featured in Penn State News and other publications, and we were able to release our first beta in August 2020, which was a major milestone for our whole entire team. And lastly, we also were able to expand our network and to partner with local student organizations and other entrepreneurs who also wanted to use their services to make an impact in the community. Now, for our future, our top goals is that we want to build a better relationship with our users and early adopters. We want to prioritize services that motivate students to connect with others on our app. We also want to make more connections within the university to promote more resources and community to underrepresented students. Next, we also want to expand the app to other Commonwealth campuses to connect more underrepresented Penn State students to UP. And once we finalize our services here, we want to apply it to other universities as well to see how we can help those students. And lastly, we want to get alumni on board to see how we can make them a resource for students. And the last thing I want to say is just thank you, President Barron, for your leadership in building in supporting entrepreneurship across the Penn State network. I'm not really sure where I or my business would be without the blessings that Event Penn State has given me. And thank you so much. Like I really appreciate it. And here's my contact information and also a QR code for the app as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel, and also Jackie and James. We had a J theme tonight for our speakers. So now we've got a little bit of time for question and answer, and I've had a couple of questions come in through the chat line already, and one or two questions for those of you who have my cell phone. You've texted me directly, so so that's been fun too. And Joel, I'm actually going to start with you. And you mentioned in your remarks that you continue to have connections with the launch boxes, and we're wondering, how do you think you'll plan to continue tapping into the support that Invent Penn State has offered you as you continue to grow your business?
Yeah. So I feel like I still, even now at this point, I still have a lot of things to learn. I had some of the preliminary investment sessions about VC ventures, venture capital funds in the future, and how I need to make sure that I am always realigning my business goals with what my customers want. I think that's something that I think a business owner should always be improving on at all times. And I think, the connections that I have at LaunchBox are some that I want to keep, honestly, for the rest of my life, honestly. I know that there's a lot of challenges in the future that come with growing a business, and I'm really still in the early stages of that. So, making sure that I can always go back to home base and talk to Lee. I feel like I'm close with her enough now at this point that she's always be an open ear for me and deciding what I should do for future business goals, future business partnerships, and how I should expand my company from here. So, yeah.
Great, terrific. Thank you. And hey, I really like this idea of peers, passion, and patience. I think that's a catchphrase that we should all hang on to. So I wish you the best of luck with your business, and stay in touch with Penn State. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll do.
Jackie, the next question is for you. You talked about this lifting up of McKeesport, and we're wondering what you might describe as the most tangible impact on the community that stems from the Mon Valley LaunchBox.
Well, I think the most impactful thing may be more intangible at first. We spent a lot of time at the beginning working with the community, listening to business owners, listening to the clergy, listening to nonprofit organizations to better understand what they thought the LaunchBox would be able to do and how we could best serve them as a campus. We also met with local elected officials. And really what we heard initially was hope. People wanted hope. And so I think we worked really hard to establish hope at the beginning. We've done a number of food drives. I think over the past 2 years, we've handed out more than 200 meals to local community members. And so we've worked very hard to establish hope and then to work with people to start their businesses and to help them realize their dreams. It's a process, it takes some time to get those relationships where they need to be so that we can do our very best work.
Great. Well, you're doing great work there, and I think in particular in communities that have struggled economically, the impact of these launch boxes has been really profound. So keep doing it. James, next question is we're going backwards in order of the speakers. So that means James, you're up. Eric, you're on deck. James, we had a question from one of our guests tonight who asked about some specific type of work, and in particular, where in the LaunchBox ecosystem do we have space for things like biotherapeutics that require wet lab space and clean rooms and prototyping labs that have specific requirements?
Yeah, as you mentioned, that is very specific type of infrastructure with air handling requirements. And generally speaking, when we've deployed our launch boxes, it's been in a community space that may not have that infrastructure. But fortunately, we've got a number of other options where those type of innovations can thrive. So Innovation Park and the Technology Center there. We've got 26 startup companies on the second floor of the Technology Center there. And about a third of them have some life science element to them. But every time a new physical space comes online, like the new Innovation Hub, that gives us an opportunity to realign, add capacity, and certainly adding capacity so that we can continue to invest as a university in areas like therapeutics is important. I should also mention the facilities that are adjacent to Penn State Hershey's College of Medicine, the HCAR facility as well. They've got a great infrastructure for that type of research.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate that, James. Dr. Barron, we had a question tonight about opportunities for alumni to invest in venture funds that encourage companies to grow. Encourage alumni to invest along with venture capitalists in university-related startups. And the question was, this might be something to consider, and actually we're doing that. So I thought maybe you'd like to comment on it.
Yeah, you know, one of the interesting things is that when we began this, we said we really need to have this end to end, you know, from visibility, from the educational part, for the opportunity for assistance to opportunities to invest. And one of the things that people said was that oh, you know, you're a public university, you can't set up the opportunity to invest in that intellectual property. Imagine if I picked something and I invested in it and it turned out not to be successful. You could imagine the press or a legislator saying, "What were you thinking? Why would you have thought that would be successful?" So along comes 1855 Fund, and this is something for which our alumni enable the investment in the intellectual property coming out of Penn State. It's a wonderful opportunity, and gives those individuals for their companies that are emerging to get substantially more resources and be competitive with other funds across the country.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. We had a question from Lee Beard, who you and I both know sits on our campaign executive committee, and of course she knows Tom Sharbaugh and Tom's work providing legal resources to our startup companies through the Happy Valley LaunchBox. Lee asked a good question though, and I confess I don't have the answer, and that's, do we also offer accounting and business service functions, maybe in partnership with the Smeal College of Business?
I'm happy to take that one, and the answer is yes. Professor Jeanette Miller has stood up a finance clinic there that will selectively work with teams. We're also very fortunate to have the Penn State Small Business Development Center, which has a bench of financial consultants that can help businesses with financial modeling and so forth. So I think there's still capacity to grow in that area, to be honest, but we do have resources available.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I should have hoisted that question to you, and I don't know, it looks like maybe I scared the president away, so.
Rich, if I could add to that too.
Yeah, please do.
The Penn State libraries have been terrific partners to us. We've had people come talk about setting up sole proprietorships, intellectual property, copyright, and then Penn State law. And so we're really able to connect to so many facets of Penn State. It's been really wonderful to see.
So I've got one more question from the panel before perhaps we're at a point to wrap up tonight. And I'm not sure exactly who to point it to, so I'll ask all of you, and you can just respond as you see fit. We'll ask the president when he gets back. What space exists for the arts and humanities in entrepreneurial endeavors? Are we able to attract business innovators from all backgrounds, or are we really focused on just science and technology type businesses?
Well, our Taste of Jazz events featured jazz musicians. And so I think what we tried to do there was to bring people together around food and music, and then showcase other local businesses. And that seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, I'll also comment on the Inter-College Entrepreneurship and Innovation minor, which cuts across many different majors. And there's actually an arts innovation entrepreneurship cluster that is very, very active. And we're always thrilled whenever you see that intersection of the scientist and the artist coming together. They come up with solutions collaboratively that none could come up with on their own. So we absolutely see that. And we've actually built that into our thinking with the new facility. We actually have a professional paint booth in there because we, believe it or not, students have been known to spray paint things outside in the quad from time to time whenever they've got a project to work on. So we're happy to bring that inside and accompanying it with mentorship and guidance.
You know, I spent, not to interrupt you, Rich, but
No, it's quite all right.
I spent an enormous amount of time talking with different people about entrepreneurship. And I had a lot of people say, you know, yes, but that only works for certain disciplines. And to tell you the truth, I cannot think of a discipline where there isn't the potential to be entrepreneurial. I just can't think of one. So, you know, I had someone say, well, what about if education? Well, just think of all those educational materials that are out there and how effective our expertise can be translated into some of those materials. So all fields are welcome.
Well, Eric, I'm actually glad you interrupted me, and I'm glad that you're back because I've got one last question for you before I wrap up the program for this evening. You mentioned at the start of the show that this idea for Invent Penn State really started early in your tenure as president back in 2015, 2016. Well, boy, the world sure seems to have changed since 2015. And I'm wondering how you think Invent Penn State has evolved. What has changed about your original vision to today?
You know, I think that part of my original vision had to do with the number of people that I met that were alumni, that were successful entrepreneurs. You know, I know Earl Harbaugh is on this call. Earl was an entrepreneur and he worked hard to help the College of Ag Sciences be an entrepreneur. Ray Ban is on the call. He was one of the original 3 founders of the Weather Channel. You know, incredible entrepreneurial effort that is there. And none of them had any training. None of them had their university help them become an entrepreneur. They just got a good education and went out in the world and took their ideas forward. So I was sort of struck by, could you imagine a university and an alumni group and students that the university actually took it upon themselves to help them achieve those goals and make it easier for them to do it. So, you know, I sort of thought about, well, you know, an engineer having the opportunity to have a business major, or the opportunity to have mentors that were alumni. But I knew, as I said, that it needed to have this kind of end-to-end focus. So we started, and, you know, I sort of kidded about having bad coffee and folding chairs. But the simple fact of the matter is, thousands of people have now gone in the doors of a LaunchBox. Community members, a staff member, faculty members, students. You know, I tell people I lost my cameraman because he said he had an invention and the LaunchBox told him to go for it. And so he went off and did it. So one, the level of involvement. The other thing is we had a lot of activities that were sponsored by colleges, and we watched them become university-wide. So then when you're university-wide and you go to one of the competitions and you walk up to a group of students, there's nursing students talking about something. There's, you know, engineers, there's folks in IST, and I would say 90% of them are motivated, like Joelle, in making something better for other groups of people. And so, quite frankly, I thought we'd have 7 launch boxes, not 21. I thought it was going to be hard to get an investment fund. But yet we have something that's very successful. There's a lot. I didn't think about the number of interns that these young companies would hire student interns, and the interns would have an added advantage of being involved in the development of a company. I didn't imagine, as I see over and over again now, that a young startup would have their CFO hired away by a company because the company was realizing that these students had an education and background and practical experience that a typical student doesn't have. So you probably are now tired of hearing me talk, but to go from this notion of how do I enable to seeing, thousands of people participating, and this rich sort of breadth and the number of students involved in competitions, it is just incredibly rewarding. And now I think we have this obligation to somehow make this permanent, to make, because this is unusual for a university to make this level of investment in literally economic development, extension, outreach that is occurring here, and to say, come one, come all. We don't care if you're a community member. We're not doing this on our campus just for a student. And so, I have as part of my goal to have more endowments that help support these students with things like summer founders, to have endowed launch boxes that I know, because we've matched it, that they're going to be there forever, and to have the state of Pennsylvania step up to realize that they need to put some coin on the table as well, because this is an institution that's really out there trying to promote economic development in this state. I keep telling the legislatures, you help me promote economic development, and we'll generate the tax base you need, so you won't have to raise taxes, and you'll be able to give Penn State more money in our appropriation. So that's my other goal. Any rate, so it's remarkable how fast it's come.
You've reminded me of 2 stories. One is very early in my tenure here, you introduced me to Hunter Swisher, who was in James' comments tonight, and he was still a student at the time. And you said, keep in touch with that young man, because someday he's going to be really successful and he's going to make a big gift to Penn State. So James, I was delighted to hear that he had a $10.5 million investment. That gets us that much closer. And the other thing that it's a nice segue to maybe my wrap up comments tonight, Dr. Barron, and that's that we're joined tonight on our Zoom with representatives of the 3 named endowed launch boxes. So I'd be missing an opportunity if I didn't say thank you to Lee Height, whose family endowed the Penn State Altoona launch box. If I didn't thank the family of Pasco Chavo, whose estate gift endowed the Hazleton launch box, and Jim Hohen from PNC Bank is on the Zoom tonight. And of course, PNC was our first endowed launch box, the Happy Valley launch box, powered by PNC, and we're hopeful that other donors will follow their lead and help us to endow launch boxes at the other 18 remaining locations, so that we have that permanence that Dr. Barron was talking about. But look, if you are not in a position to be able to endow a launch box, there are lots of other ways that you can help to support the work that we're doing through Invent Penn State. You heard from Joelle how important mentorship is, and we ask for your help and your expertise to mentor students as they explore their entrepreneurial ideas and become community innovators at our innovation hubs in a location near you. You can make a more modest gift to sponsor one of the programs that are embedded in our launch boxes, including the Summer Founders Program that you heard James and Dr. Barron talk about. And of course, if you're interested in having your name permanently attached to one of these launch boxes, we'd be delighted to talk to you about how you can secure the matching funds from the university and join Lee and Pasco and PNC in permanently ensuring entrepreneurship is part of the DNA of Penn State. If you're interested in any of these opportunities, we're going to end the program with contact information from my colleague, Heather Winfield. Heather is our Director of Strategic Initiatives in Development and Alumni Relations at Penn State. And she'd be happy to talk to you about how we explore those opportunities. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank James and Jackie and Joelle for your comments tonight. We really appreciated having the three of you with us to share what you're doing in each of your respective areas. We wish you the best of luck and best of success in all of those future endeavors. And I think at this time, being sensitive to time and seeing that we're just up against 9 o'clock, I will wish all of you a good evening. Stay healthy and safe. We look forward to, as I said at one of these events earlier this week, we look forward to not being virtual for these kinds of things much longer. But until then, we hope you stay safe and healthy so that we can continue to celebrate each other and this wonderful Penn State community that we all enjoy. Have a great evening. Thanks for being here tonight. We are